All right, here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Non-Victim Nation podcast. I am here today with Lee from Barely Training. Is
Company.
it company? Okay,
Yep.
I want to say consulting, but I wasn't sure that's
I'll
right.
do that too.
There we go. And so Lee drove all the way here from San Diego because he thought it was that important to be here so that you could all learn about him. So
It's true.
keep that in mind.
Yeah. Just got off the road, walked right in.
There you go. So how is the company going?
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I hate doing admin stuff.
Mhm.
In my previous company, I had a business partner, and I told him when we started the company, I told him from day one, like, hey, I just want to do the guns, you do all the paperwork.
Right.
And we are like, cool, it worked perfect for 10 years. And then this company, it's just me. So I'm like the guy who orders the targets. I'm the guy who staples them onto the cardboard. I'm the
Right.
guy who teaches the class. I'm the guy who picks up the brass.
Mhm.
So it's fun. I love it. And there's just a lot of aspects of like being a sole writer that you just got to figure out.
So can you talk more about that, like how you got started with this company and like what it's
Yeah.
all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I I was actually working at an internet company doing like websites, like cookie cutter websites. Like you call in, hey, I need a website. Okay, cool. Here's one. And my buddy who was technically my boss, he said, if you could do anything, what would you do? I was like, man, I'd love to get paid to shoot guns and hang out with my friends. He's like,
Right.
all right, cool, cool, cool. So then, like, I don't know, a couple months goes by and he goes, hey, what do you think about buying a gun store? I was like, yeah.
Right.
And so we secret shopped one that was for sale, but it wasn't like openly for sale. It was like a network or whatever.
Mhm.
So we secret shopped it and it was like, man, this has potential. um, I think we should do it. And so we did it. And on day one, we walked in and we had a budget of 50 grand. Like, so what was cool is the store was already there.
Mhm.
So they had some stuff, they had the walls decorated, they had employees and stuff. But we walked in, so our budget was 50 grand. And we went on a distributor and spent $50,000 on gun stuff. It was like the biggest Christmas ever.
I
Like
bet.
you're just on the website and be like 20 of those, 3 of these, 5 of those, Glock 17s, I'll take 10, and we're just like, so it was just awesome. And then from then we just built it. And it was like that shop was probably the size of this room. It was tiny, but we were just like,
Mhm.
hey, we're in it, we're doing it, we're getting paid, we're fine, we're good.
Right.
So then we built it, and we basically went off one motto, like treat people how you'd like to be treated.
Mhm.
It's like the golden rule, is it not?
You would
Like,
think so.
yeah. So, and sadly enough, not a lot of people follow it. But anyways, so we just like be the gun shop you would want to go to. Do
Mhm.
you want to go to a gun shop where they patronize you about your choice, or they tell you that's not the right gun for you, or they tell you, oh, this gun's too big for you, or whatever? We're like, no, man, like just what would I want? What information would I want? Like,
Right.
I'll just be honest. Like, someone's looking at a subpar gun, I'll tell them like, hey, that's a subpar gun. This is a better gun, but if that's the one you can afford, cool, get that one. I'd rather have you get one that you can afford and shoot, and then
Right.
not have a gun. Like, there's the option.
Yeah.
So we just built it in by just literally word of mouth. We're proud to say the only advertising dollars I ever spent for that company was I spent $40 for a banner that big at my son's school carnival.
Okay.
So there was a little banner that said Gunfighter Tactical in front of the bouncy house at the school carnival. That was the only advertising dollars I ever
Nice.
spent because I thought it was funny. To me, it was like a gun store advertising at a school event. I
Right.
was like, yes, like
That's perfect.
I'm all over it. And I actually got calls, like not bad, but someone would call me and be like, "Oh my God, are you at the school carnival right now?" I was like, "Yep." So only advertising, everything else was just word of mouth.
Uh-huh.
It was just being the gun store people wanted to go to, and we just built that reputation, and we just kept pushing forward, expanding. And then we got into manufacturing, so we manufactured all our own guns in house, like
Nice.
ARs. We did AR pistols. We were probably one of the number one AR pistol dealers in all of California. And I'm
Okay.
not saying San Diego, all of California.
Nice.
Like, we were on the news for it. And then when the ammo shortage thing, or when the ammo thing, oh, sorry, let me back it up even more. When the magazine, do you guys remember the magazine
Yes.
thing in California where
Mhm.
California literally sucked all the mags out of the entire country? We were overnighting like like $5,000 worth of magazines every single night for the entire week,
Wow.
because we were just like, we don't know when this is going to end. So let's overnight this much and sell them tomorrow and sell them tomorrow and sell them tomorrow. And it wasn't up for us to be like, oh, we want to make a giant profit. We're like,
Mhm.
let's flood the market with these mags. Like, let's
Right.
let freedom ring, let's do
Yeah.
it right. So we got known for that. We were on nationally news for that. We were one of the biggest stores in California to push for the the normal capacity magazines, and
Right.
so we did that. We just took a stance of like, this is your gun store. How do you
Right.
want it run? Like, what do you want to see? Like, so we did everything we could legally to just push the envelope and try and be the people's gun store,
Right.
and we did a good job. Like, I admit, like, we had some hard times, but man, I loved it.
Mhm.
Um, until one day the landlord was like, "Hey, you're up for your rent renewal."
Mhm.
So okay, cool. And he goes, "We don't really want a gun store here, so you can either pay double or leave in a month."
No
And we're
shit.
like, "Oh, okay. Well, I mean, we're already paying a lot because we were right on a main road in San Diego, Miramar
Right.
Road. Pretty much everyone's heard of Miramar Road that knows
Okay.
San Diego. It's right across from the base. Like, it was a primo spot, central
Mhm.
San Diego. And he's like, "Yeah, you can pay double, start paying double, or get out." And we're just like, "Geez, I mean, we just literally cannot get out. Like, I literally cannot pay double. I mean, it's just
Right.
like we can't afford that. There's no way." So we were just like, okay, we just can't do that. So we downsized. We always had two locations, but one was our like warehouse. Like, we would Cerakote there and do Kydex there and do like a separate location just
Mhm.
a couple blocks down. So we just moved, collapsed back into that one and did the like just the custom work, stopped
Mhm.
selling guns. We still manufacture our own,
Mhm.
but we stopped selling like Glocks and stuff like that, and stopped selling gear, stopped selling ammo. Just basically manufacture our own guns and just did custom work
Right.
where we would do Cerakote and stippling and Kydex and gunsmithing and just anything you could do to the actual gun, right?
Right.
So then this guy came along and ruined all of that. And you might know him by the name of Joe Biden.
Yep.
So in Joe Biden's economy, there's no auxiliary funds, right?
Mhm.
People have enough money to buy the gun. They don't have enough money to like deck the gun out.
Right.
Like, the money's not there to make it tan because it was black, or, to make it camo because it was tan,
Right.
whatever. So that money just kind of went away, and we were just like, we just can't do this anymore. Like, we're just not making the money. And so we ended that. And my business partner and I just had a phone call, and we're just like, I gotta be honest, man, this isn't fun anymore. Like, it's
Yeah.
just like we're barely scraping by. Like, it's just not the life we wanted to have is in the gun industry. So
Right.
we're just like, we just can't do this anymore. We can't afford to do it. Like, we're coming out of our personal pockets to pay things.
Mhm.
Like, it's just not working. So we're like, okay, cool. Both made a decision. We're gonna shut it down. Right. It's just,
Mhm.
we have to. We literally cannot. We have no other options.
Right.
And so, like, then I'm just like lost in space. I'm like, so I had this gun store for 10 years. We've been running Gunfire Tactical for 10 years,
Mhm.
which was a quarter of my life at the time. I didn't know how to do anything else.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I was like, toying with the idea of going into construction, toying with the idea of becoming a pool guy. Like, I was just like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then a buddy of mine, like one of my best friends, he's like, you're always teaching people to shoot. Like, why don't you just get paid for it now?
Right.
And I was like, huh, do that? Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, yeah, man, you're always teaching people, but you just never made it a priority. I was like, yeah, because I'm already in guns 5 days a week.
Mhm.
Like, my weekends are my time, right? So I don't take a lot of time to teach. I'll teach if I'm there and have fun. But he's like, man, why don't you just make that like priority and just do that full time? I was like, all right.
There
And
you go.
so Barely Training Company came to existence, and you know, um, my logo and the name are just kind of a poke fun at the industry,
Right.
like it's just everything's like super tactical, cool guy, alpha, bravo, axe throwing guy, and you're just like, dude,
Right.
come on, seriously,
Right.
like, have fun. And so that's always been my mentality of like training is like, number one, you're paying me, you're here to have fun,
Mhm.
right? That's it.
Right.
End of story. But two, we're gonna train hard. Like,
Mhm.
you're gonna earn your I'm gonna earn your money, right?
Right.
So we're gonna have fun, but I'm gonna earn your money. I'm gonna put
Mhm.
you through a rigorous day. We're gonna get a lot of rounds on target, and you're gonna have fun. And so it's just barely training came, and it's just like, yeah,
Mhm. Right.
bears have kind of just been this thing in my life for the last several years,
Right.
and barely training. And our my company motto is literally have fun, train hard,
Mhm.
and in that order. It's a
Yeah.
specifically you got to do it in that order because if you're training hard and you're having fun and you ain't getting paid, then it's not cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I got bear, like each of my kids are kind of ended up like coincidentally being named after bears.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Nice.
and then the California state flag has a bear
Is a
on it.
bear, right?
And
Yeah.
then like 2 years ago for my 40th birthday, I went to Alaska and shot a bear.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, this bear theme just kept like popping up. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, well, I want to incorporate that somehow. And I was like, first I went down that tactical road of like alpha bear, it's like, oh God, stop. Just stop, And I was like, well, I mean, how do I play it? And then I was like messing with the lettering and I was like, you know what? I'm barely good at anything anyway. So let's just call it barely training.
Right.
And it's funny because a buddy of mine who like isn't like he doesn't understand like sarcasm. He's like,
Mhm.
why do you always say you're barely good at it? Like you're really good at it. And I was like, no, no, no. It's a joke. Like, don't
Right.
worry about it. But yeah, so that's where barely training company came from. And
Right.
yeah, it all
And
came to
for
be.
people who don't know, what is your logo?
So I don't have so this is like our simple logo,
Uh-huh.
but my other logo, I have it here on my phone actually. Oh, so it's a bear wearing nods,
Right. Which
but
I absolutely love.
it's fun though because it's like a cute little bear, but he's
Yeah.
got quads on,
Right.
and it's just it's a fun logo.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I love it because it's just it's again, it's not tactical cool guy. It's like
Yeah. I
fun.
still have one of your stickers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
So it's just a fun logo. Just
Mhm.
like I said, I'm not there to be too serious. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna scream at you, man. My days of screaming at people are long gone,
Yeah.
and you're paying me. I'm not gonna put you through drill instructor type stuff. We're just gonna have
Right.
fun and train.
Yeah. Being a drill instructor would be fun if that's what you actually did.
Yeah,
Not if
yeah.
you're trying to teach people stuff. It's not
Right, right,
necessarily
right.
the best way to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Like if you're in the military as a drill instructor, cool, I get it.
Right.
Like that's a job that's necessary.
Mhm.
But these people are paying me to teach them for the day. Like,
Right.
and I mean, you don't even know how many studies have shown that like when people are like calm and relaxed and you joke with them and they're just like in a good state of mind,
Mhm.
they're teaching, they absorb it so much better.
Mhm.
When they're scared that they're gonna be out of place, like you just don't like you're scared to look that direction to see what's on the board because someone's gonna yell at you.
Right.
Like we all remember you know, basic where you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this right now. Like,
Yeah.
and you're just like trying to figure you're in your own head more than you are just absorbing the knowledge.
Right.
So for me, I just have it fun and I teach on levels, like even the class itself, it starts here because when we're up here doing this crazy getting under a car and shooting, I taught you that method here. You
Right.
didn't know how it was going to translate to here, but I just built it the whole time. So
Right.
it's pretty cool, like just to teach people and just be a friend and be like, hey, this is what I'm going to teach you today. But
Yeah.
we're not. I'm not your boss.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
So I think it's kind of funny if you think back on basic training, where like even if you're doing something right, you might not be doing it right enough or fast enough
I
for
was
the
to
drill
say
sergeant.
fast, yeah. 'Cause
So,
so yeah, fast. I used to always get hammered on that one
you
because
know,
even in like elementary school, the teacher, I don't know why she did this, but she like made up like nicknames for all the kids.
uh
So like it was like fidgety Frank can never sit still, and I was like, kind of a dick thing to say, but
right,
anyways. But so mine was leisurely Lee, always the last one to leave the class. I'm like, we ain't in no hurry.
right,
Why am I gonna rush it? I'm just chilling. Like,
yeah,
and that's how this kind of always been my mentality in life, just chilling, like figure it out. But the same
yeah,
thing, like in the military, I was like, doing the job, man.
yeah,
Like, get off my ass. Like,
right, yeah,
sorry, I didn't run to the closet to get the broom and run back. I'll get there when I get there.
right. Drill sergeants don't see it that
No, they
way.
do not. Not one bit.
So, yeah, it sounds like your teacher had some serious passive aggressive issues that they needed to work out. And the fact
Yeah,
that they were
yeah.
naming people like that.
Yeah, I gotta find that yearbook and because that one was what I remember because she brought that one to our attention, fidgety Frank, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
dang, that's kind of weird thing to say. Like,
Right.
and then mine was leisurely, and I gotta find the yearbook to get all the other ones, but I'm sure they weren't very good.
I'm sure they were less than flattering.
Yeah, I was like, and this was pre-internet days, so she probably sat there with like a thesaurus and like looked up words.
Yeah.
Like,
Nothing better to do.
yeah,
While
yeah,
you all are taking your standardized tests, it's like, yeah,
yeah. She's like, okay, that kid starts with L. Let me turn to the L's, find out what
yeah,
I'm. Oh yeah, that works.
sure. So I met you in the class with Josh for Guardian training.
Hmm.
We were doing our concealed carry for the USCCA.
Yep.
Um, how did you get connected with Josh?
So I met Josh. Oh man, it was a long time ago now. In Bakersfield
Hmm.
when he was working for Haley.
Okay, I
Um,
gotcha.
Haley and him did a class there, and Josh and I just started talking and having fun. And then I came out here and did a Haley training, the AK class,
Hmm.
where it was Haley, Jim, Jared, and Josh. I
Okay.
was like, okay, cool. So like I've always just been like a, I don't want to say like a fun guy, but I'm loose. Like I said, I'm just having fun, right? So I
Right.
always talk with the instructor, joke around and stuff. We just kind of became friends, and over the years, I kept seeing him more and more, and calling him, be like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Oh, you're at Chacho, cool. Let's go grab a steak," you know.
Right.
So just over the years, we just became really, really close friends,
Mhm.
and he knew about Gunfighter, and as soon as Gunfighter was like shutting down, he was one of the first people I called because I was like, "Hey man, here's my life,"
Yeah.
you know. And so he's been a, like super instrumental to help
Hmm.
me into the teaching because a lot of like, and I'm not like a very learned person, I guess you should say, but I know what I'm doing,
Right.
right? But I always had this thing called I think it's called imposter syndrome, where I don't
Right.
feel I'm
Right.
good enough to teach you that.
Hmm.
And then people will see me do it and they're like, yeah, dude, you can teach that. Like, you're really good at it. Like, but I was like, but there's other people that are better. And they're like, it doesn't matter. You're good
Right.
at it. So Josh is one of those instrumental people in that, saying, like, hey, man, you know what you're doing.
Right.
Like, you can teach this. Like, your personality, your teaching style, what you do, all those are good. So you need to harness this and
Right.
use it as a business. And I was like, oh, I don't know, like there's other instructors, there's other classes. Like
Hmm.
I take trainings all the time. He's like, just the fact that you take trainings all the time shows that you're that kind of person that's going to excel in this. Like
Hmm.
you're part of this community. You didn't take a class and call it a day.
Right.
You know how many people get their CCW and say, oh yeah, I took a class.
Hmm.
And then you see him shooting, you're like, good God, that guy has a gun. That guy carries a gun every day.
Yeah.
And so it's just like one of those things where it's like
Hmm.
he's like, no, dude, like you got this. Like
Right.
this is part of who you are, and you got it. So
Hmm.
he's been monumental in pushing me towards that direction. Even now,
Hmm.
I have questions. I'm like, hey man, how do you like? What do you think of this? And I'll text him or call him.
Right.
So he's been like a huge sounding board and just been like a super mentor, like just to get into that space because he left law enforcement, got into that space,
Hmm.
on his own
Right.
and figured it all out. And it's like, man, you're crushing it, which is rightfully so.
Yeah.
He's a hustler. He does a great job. He's a fantastic teacher.
Hmm.
So I'm always looking at him and be like, what would Josh do?
There you go.
you know? So
And so, and Josh is the perfect example of somebody who does an excellent job of training people, but he's entertaining while he does it.
yeah, yeah,
He never ever makes people feel like they're stupid.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
if anything, he's going to throw himself under the bus before he does anybody else.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Self-deprecation. Yeah,
so he's amazing at that, and
yeah,
I think that that's part of why people respond to him so well,
yeah,
and that's helped him to develop the people that he works with. It could because he's surrounding himself with more and more people
right.
that are basically like that
Yeah,
to
yeah,
help that business grow. So Guardian Training Consulting is like growing pretty
yeah,
quickly,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's doing really well.
yeah.
Especially with all the people he's bringing on.
Yeah,
So
it turns out like if you have a good group of people, people will gravitate towards that,
yeah,
and then you're a good group of people. If you keep an eye on it and you add good group of people, it stays that group, it stays core and it stays good.
right.
So he actually has me as like a partner, a training partner, and I'm on his website and everything. And it's like he didn't just like give that to me, like I earned it.
Right.
I demonstrated to him that I'm a good person, and not only on the range but in life.
Hmm.
Like I'm not the kind of person that slaps their kids around, or you know what I mean. Like you find these people that are good people
Right.
and they're good at this thing,
Hmm.
and the good people part is almost more important.
Yeah.
A lot of people are good at things, but that just because you're a good person, it kind of it's what
Right.
works. Yeah,
So, and kind of going back to the imposter syndrome thing, that's it's an easy idea to understand for people not feeling like you're good enough at something,
yeah,
but you have to imagine it from a different perspective. So, like if you took somebody who's like a Formula One racer or a NASCAR racer, it's like their level of driving is
yeah.
way, way beyond just like an average person's, like I'm driving to work every day.
Right, right,
Okay. But if you took that person compared to the person who has never driven a car before, right? That's a gigantic,
right,
okay,
right.
delta between the two. Even just an average person who's like, I just get in my car and I drive back and forth to work every day,
Yeah,
you know, that still is a huge delta from the person who's never done it.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So the experience that you have is still a long ways away from somebody who doesn't know what they're doing to begin with.
Right.
They basically know which end of the bullets come out of. So,
This thing.
you know, so I mean, again, I understand that thought process, but if you look at it from another perspective, you understand that
Yeah.
you really do have way more. experience and knowledge than an average person does.
Yeah, there was
So,
3 people that made me get over that. You know, it was something in me that I'm like, no, 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 that's not me.
mhm,
But there's 3 people that were monumental, and Josh was one of them.
mhm.
And just be like, dude, stop,
Yeah,
stop messing around. Like,
right.
you know what you're good at, you know.
Mhm,
And I was just like, okay, okay, okay. But yeah, you're right. And like, even now when I teach classes and people are like, oh man, I can't believe you taught me that. That's so good. I can't believe you went through this. And I'm like, okay, thank you. You know, but like, you know, it's still hard for me to
right.
wrap my head around,
Yeah,
but I love what I do, so I'm not going to stop doing it.
right.
And I've always said this, like day one, a teaching day on the range and getting to see the smiles on people's faces when you teach them a concept or you put them in a fun situation,
Right.
and a day on the range by myself just going hard on the gun, both those days are fantastic to me.
Right.
Like I get just as much enjoyment out of both of them because like the fulfillment I get when teaching people what I know, that's like to
Mhm,
me it's not like, well, hold on, let me look up that answer for you. It's like, no, 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 do this and this. And
right.
there's like, you just know that? I'm like, yeah. It's
Right.
you know, it's like what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like it's a really, really rewarding for on my
Mhm,
behalf to watch them grow and to watch them be
mhm,
like I said, I just did a vehicle class with a group of 9 people, 7 of them were women,
mhm.
and I had them by the end of the day from CCW, from a concealed, getting out of the car, sliding down on the ground and shooting underneath the car at a target on the ground.
Right.
And they were just minds blown.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, this is like a Tuesday. You know, I was like, I do this
Right.
stuff all the time. Like
Right.
I did a Christmas video where we were doing this, you know,
Yeah.
but to just to put that people in that experience, and they were just like, yes, this is awesome. I'm like, yes, I love that. I
Mhm.
love your enthusiasm. I love where you're at with that. And I will teach you all day long. You
Right.
know, let's push it. Let's do this.
Right.
And so they're like, what's level 2? I'm like, level 2's rifles. It changes everything. And they're like, oh, you know, so it's just really cool to like impart my knowledge that to me is just so mundane. It's just like just what I know. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
But to them, it's just like, oh my God, like this is awesome. So
Right.
it's fun to see that and it's fun to
Mhm.
experience that with
Right.
them, you know. And it's cool because every class is a new experience for me. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you get guys that are really good. Sometimes you get guys that are like, okay, slowly, you know,
Right.
like when I had them get down under the car, there was a couple people that were a little bit older, and they're like, "I don't know if I can get back up." I'm like, "Cool, then let's just shoot 3 or 4 rounds around there." You know, let's take our time. There's no
Right.
rush. There,
Yeah.
I put them on the clock once that day
Yeah.
during a couple of drills because I actually run the California concealed carry drill in there, like the actual test.
Uh-huh.
So I run that in. That was the only time we're on the clock. Everything else, it's like we're not on the clock because we're learning, right?
Right.
I'm not testing you today. We're learning today.
Right.
So let's just do it simple. So yeah, she got down there and she bam bam. And she's like, "Oh my god!" And the first one was like, "Did I shoot the car? Did I shoot the car?" I was like, "No, that's you didn't shoot the car. Trust me. That's just the sound it makes. It's an
Right.
echo. It's an echo chamber, especially because it's a truck and you have the bed,
Right.
you know." And they were just like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Yeah, you just get used to it after a while, but
Right.
it's super fun, man. Super
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoy teaching. It's just like I said, for me, it's easy because it's just I just tell them things.
Yeah.
I just tell them what I know. It's not like I have to
Mhm.
look up the curriculum. I just go, "Hey, we're gonna do this today," you know.
Yeah. And kind of touching on that again, there's the difference between you may not have all of the expertise in the world, right?
Yeah.
But what you do have is the ability to teach people in a way that A, they respond to, and B, is fun for them, which is important, you know.
Right. Right.
And again, this is something that Josh does really well.
Yeah.
You know, he makes the whole thing entertaining
Yep.
so that you don't feel like you're just sitting in a boring class, just like
Yeah.
watching fucking slides on
Yeah.
on a
The
thing,
quad
you know.
slide.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so there's a lot to be said for that. It's sort of like, you know, when you were taking your first driver's ed class, you know, if the person that was in the car with you was cool and, you know, they relaxed and, you know,
Yeah.
made you laugh a little bit, how much different is that experience from somebody who's just an absolute asshole
Yeah.
and you just want to fucking climb out of the car while you're still moving,
Dude,
you know?
I had that exact situation. The
Yeah.
first time I took my driving test, the person gets in all super stern, stiff, and I'm like, oh my God. I didn't even make it out of the parking lot because I was so nervous. Like I turned sharp and ran over a curb and they're like, just pull in that spot, you're done. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Yeah. No. And then the next guy that I took it like 2 weeks later again, and he got in, and he was like super chill. He's like, "Hey man, how's it going? Like, we're
Mhm.
just gonna do a quick test today. Okay, cool." And so my rationale just went, you know, okay, like I can just relax a little bit. Obviously, he's
Yeah.
still testing me on the same exact
Right.
criteria, but now I just don't feel that pressure. You know,
Mhm.
I don't feel like so wound up that I make mistakes.
Right.
So
And even if you do, it's not a big deal. I mean,
yeah,
that's the whole point of learning.
right,
You're
right,
supposed to make mistakes so you know what to fix.
right.
right?
Yeah.
Nobody just knows shit all, right out of the gate,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Someone had to teach it somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even all the stuff that it's like you didn't get it all 100% the first time,
Right.
right?
Yep. Yeah. It's
It's a
building.
process. You
Yep.
you develop those
Yeah.
skills,
Yeah.
right? And even once you develop a skill, the skill can still improve. You
Oh
can
yeah,
get better,
absolutely.
you
And
know?
like it's funny because I just did a CQB night training this weekend,
Uh-huh.
and it's like you can be a master at CQB, master. But
Right.
if you've never done it with nods, you ain't no master.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now. Like you put nods on, and all of a sudden you go from seeing this whole room at once to seeing this at once. It changes
Right.
everything. And so a lot of people were like rushing and freaking out. And I was sitting outside talking to a guy, and I said, "Do you listen to their voices right now? Do you hear how those guys are like screaming in there? What is that doing to the team? It's ramping them up. It's ramping up their heartbeats, so they're making mistakes, and their after run huddle were long because they had to like calm down, walk through the mistakes.
Mhm.
And I go, watch when we go in, and I just calmly told him, "Hey, I need you to hold this hallway. Don't move, just hold the hallway." And I said, "Did my voice raise once?" He goes, "No," and that way I could concentrate on what you were saying. And my heart rate didn't go up and I didn't freak out. And he's like, I could actually listen to you and
Mhm.
just do it.
Right.
And I was like, that's exactly what we're after.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it is. Just keep the calm demeanor, keep the fun, keep the like, hey man, like I actually said this in CQB, like teaching him like, hey man, would you mind just like watching this door while we don't get shot?
Right.
And they're like, what? I'm like, "Yeah, just like stick your gun out the door so we don't get shot that way. They're like, okay,
Right.
instead of like, you dick, you made the wrong move. And like, I'm
Right.
like, hey man, we're just learning you. I'm teaching you. Like, calm down.
Right.
It's just like, it's cool.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
So for people who don't know, CQB and night vision, like, how do you describe those things?
CQB is it's sometimes called CQC, close quarters, either combat or battle,
Hmm.
interchangeable words,
Right.
just how you do it. It's the art of clearing space with a gun. That's the
Hmm.
way I put it
Okay.
because it is an art. Like I teach CQB a lot now, and I almost do. In fact, I do zero live fire CQB. I do like some sims and stuff like that, but the art that you're really like designing and learning is footwork, moving, space, like how to read space, how to absorb space, like how to maneuver through a structure
Hmm.
and get all the unknowns. You're running through your objectives, you're running through your CQB fundamentals, you're running like feet, like just how you move the gun through the door fluidly so
Hmm.
that you can be there faster, you can be into the 10% quicker.
Hmm.
So that's the art of CQB, which is like beautiful. It's like when you can do it good, it's
Hmm.
just I tell people as the team leader, it's like you're playing chess and the players don't even know.
Right.
Like as a team leader, I'm three moves ahead, but as I'm saying one move, I'm already thinking I'm going to put him there because this guy's going to go there and that guy's going to take this and they're going to do this.
Hmm.
Right? So you're playing chess real quick, very fast, but it's just moving pieces.
Yeah.
So that's CQB in a nutshell, and I love it because it's fast, it's thinking, it's constant,
Hmm.
and I love that. In CQB, you don't have the radio guy, you don't have the long range guy. You have all the guys who
Hmm.
happen to be good at other things,
Right.
but everyone has to be good at CQB.
Right.
Your whole team has to be good because you may be one in the door, three into the next room, one in the hallway, and four into the last room.
Hmm.
You're constantly moving positions, and so it's a very fluid, fast
Hmm.
paced thing, and I just love it. It's fast, it's quick, it's fun.
Right.
And the night vision is literally just amplifying light so that you can see. You know,
Using,
yeah, and using nods and night vision goggles.
so are they using like twin tubes
Yeah,
or just
yeah.
mono tube or?
Sometimes, I mean, honestly, night vision is not for poor people. I'm just gonna say it. It
Yeah.
is what it is. So night vision, like a good set of dual night vision, like binoculars, like night vision binoculars,
Hmm.
will cost anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Right.
And I think $5,000 and $10,000. That's like a used Honda. You know, when you
Right.
break it down, like
Right.
you could have a car, or you could have these night vision things that you use 3 to 5 times a year.
Right.
If you're lucky, if you're like me, I use them all the time,
Yeah.
but your average person probably doesn't use them very often. So, um, it's a fun way to just experience different
Right.
things. So it's super fun.
Yeah. And so I've done some training, not
Mhm.
nearly enough of that. I think that it's really interesting how your vision works in night vision.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
what you see and how clearly you actually see things.
yep,
Um, I'm trying to think of like a movie, and the first one that comes to mind is Sicario.
Hmm.
They show like the night vision there, and it's
Yeah,
not exactly what you would see, I don't think,
right. It's a good
but
representation.
it's a decent representation as like
Yeah,
basically how it looks when you're trying to do that, right?
yeah, yeah.
And understanding that you've got to be able to like move, like you said, with that and operate
Hmm.
and do all the things you would normally do,
Yep,
but with a limited light, and then
yep,
also understand your place in the light.
yep.
Like
And
your
your
relationship
peripherals.
to like when you're in a dark place, when you're in a light place,
Uh-huh.
so that other people can't see you just because you can see them,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So a lot of the teams and stuff, they're going from the dynamic
Hmm.
CQB, which is like fast, like you see in the movies, kick down the door, boom, 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 everyone go, 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 go.
Hmm.
They're transitioning over to deliberate, which is slow, methodical, quiet.
Hmm.
And I call it ninja. So in my
Yeah.
training, I always say, be ninja until you can't.
Okay.
Right. So if you can get in the door quietly and you can take half the house quietly, and all of a sudden a round goes off that you need to send, well, now you can't. So now you need to throttle up and you need to be dynamic.
Right.
So you need to get in there and move fast.
Hmm.
But I always say be ninja until you can't. So go slow, go methodical. And they're finding that the slow, methodical way of doing it is way safer, way
Well, yeah.
safer, you know, and it's really good. It happens to work really well.
Right.
So it's like you, but you got to be able to on the throttle control. So you got to understand that. And then now take all that knowledge of throttling and up and down and quiet, and you can see this, you know. So you go through a room like we were just doing the other day with training, and the guy went through a room and he's like, I don't know what happened. I just was staring at a wall. Because you're in night vision, you just walk in and you're like, he's at a wall, and he's like, what the hell? Like, because you walk into a room and with all your peripheral and all the light, your eyes can absorb everything just
Yeah.
instantly, right?
Right.
But with night vision, like you may have to adjust because your depth is different.
Hmm.
Different rooms have different light sources. Like
Hmm.
your average house does not have much light on at home. You might have like a clock on the microwave, something like that, but there's not much light.
Right.
So now I have to introduce my own light source,
Hmm.
right? Which comes in the IRs. I have IR strobe, or not strobe, like a light that I can flip up on my helmet. Umbrellas the room.
Hmm.
I have IR lasers. I have IR, lights. It's so now there's light where I put light.
Right.
So if I don't put the light there, I can't see there either.
Yeah.
So these night vision devices outside, you can use starlight,
Hmm.
but the second you go inside and go into a CQB environment, that
Right.
that that all goes away. You
Yeah.
know?
And so that's another one of those Hollywood misconceptions is like night vision doesn't mean you can see in absolute darkness.
Yeah, yeah.
There has to be at least some light for it to operate and,
Hmm.
and pick up.
All night vision does is amplify light.
Hmm.
So it takes small amounts of light and amplifies it so that you can use it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go into a pitch black room,
You
you
can't
still see
see
shit.
anything. It looks like TV. What do they call it? The space, the static, and
Right.
you just see speckles like this, and then you hit the IR light, and then now you can see.
Right.
And so you still have to supply some kind of light because it amplifies what you got. If you ain't got nothing, it can't amplify it,
Right.
right? So but
Uh,
night vision's fun. It's a really fun class. It's just night vision is just like a whole nother beast. I mean,
right.
getting on the gun and where your optic is and moving your head and the helmet and
Yeah. So like that was the biggest thing that I noticed, like, is just if you're not used to wearing that helmet, kind of getting comfortable with that.
yeah.
But then also you've got the weight of the nods themselves that like
Mhm.
want to like pull down. So you've got to be able to counterbalance that.
Yep.
And like you can kind of like look up to try to see under it,
Yeah.
to try to adjust
Yeah.
and things like that. But it's a weird sort of thing to get used to
Yeah.
just looking through those and
Yep.
being able to
I
move.
mean, one of the simplest things that you do every single day, all day long, is look at your watch, right?
Hmm.
Someone asks you what time it is. Oh, okay. But on nods, you can't do this. You kind of got to do this.
Yeah.
What is the on your nod to set your watch? Because you
Right.
do this, they're not. It's not going to be a focus. And
Right.
so my watch actually has, I think yours does too, but it has the
Mhm.
night vision mode where it
Yeah.
turns down the light really, really low, so you can actually kind of look at it. Doesn't blow your nods out. But this, if you got to think about, there's so many different aspects of that,
Mhm.
like driving a car at night with night vision. Guess what? Those dash lights are going to blow out your knots. You're not going to be able to see.
Right.
So you got to be able to kill all the lights, and it's a fun experience. But
Mhm.
it's not just like, oh, I just put on night vision, I'm great at everything. No, you got to learn how to do it.
So when I was in the army, we would do like these maneuvers at night, and like they've got the blackouts that limit the lights, the tail
Hmm.
lights and the headlights and things
Hmm.
like that. So you're watching like really small pinpoints of light,
Hmm.
and you don't realize how important that is until all of a sudden you come over a hill and you see bright lights and it fucking completely wipes out
Yeah.
all of your night vision.
Yep. Yep.
It's like now everything is 100% dark again. It's like, fuck,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to, so you get good at like kind of closing one eye and trying to prepare for that,
Yeah.
so that you can preserve that. So it's sort of the same thing with knots, right? You
Yeah.
have to
Yep.
kind of,
Yep. Same thing. You gotta like we in this training that we did this weekend, we came in from a dark warehouse into a lit office section,
right.
right? So all of a sudden it's nods off. Okay, white light.
Hmm.
We're using white light flashlights to look places in little corners and stuff.
Hmm.
But then we went back into the warehouse. Okay, nods on, no light. It's good. So you got to be able to transition quickly and
Yeah.
understand understand the concepts behind the nods, because if you walk into the white light with your nods, you're going to blow them out,
Hmm.
or you look at something intensely, you're going to blow them out. So
So something else that you mentioned is kind of the overall cost of the nods, which is not just the nods, but you've got to have the helmet,
exactly. Yeah.
and the batteries and
Uh-huh.
everything that kind of goes with all the
Yeah.
ancillary
Just
things.
just the mount that does this, that
Yeah.
drops down, that's like $500,
Yeah.
400 and something bucks if you get a new one.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, nods is it's a fun space to be in, but God, it's expensive.
Right. So, but here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't think about. It's they say, okay, I want nods, and they go and they spend all of this money, and they've got like this really cool shit, and then never get any training for it. It's like,
Yep.
how is that benefiting you?
Yep.
You know, in any particular situation where you might actually have to put those on,
Yeah.
if you don't know how to use them, then it's not really helping you, and you've just invested all that money for nothing.
I agree like 1,000%. If you
Mhm.
buy gear, you better run it.
Right.
That's my motto. Like if you buy gear, don't be like, "Oh, I bought that because I might need it one day." No, no, no. You buy it and you use it. And so you know how to use it when you do need it.
Hmm.
You know, like there's plenty of plate carriers that I've worn where it's like, dude, this plate carrier is so awesome. I put it on and be like, God dang, this Velcro is killing me. Like,
Right.
and I'll go home and like cut a piece off because like like I have one plate carrier where the Velcro kind of overlapped a little bit and it would grab my shirt all night.
Hmm.
And it was just annoying because I get that little, as I move, I get that, and I'm like, "Ugh." So if you
Yeah.
don't learn your gear,
Hmm.
mods, plate carriers, rifles, whatever,
Yeah.
like I bought a new slide for my Glock 48, and I bought a new slide for it, and I could not get the thing to lock on an empty mag.
Wow.
I I tried switching the springs, I tried switching mags. I was just like, what is going on, right?
Hmm.
So I thought it was a slides problem, but it turns out it was actually the slide catch, like to grab the follower. It
Hmm.
wasn't, it was like short and the follower was going right past it.
Hmm.
So I finally found the problem. But if I would have just put that on my gun and started carrying it when I went to use it, it would be non-functional, right? And
Right.
I can't have that. If I need to use something, I need to know how it works,
Hmm.
how it works with me, and I
Right.
how to utilize it properly. So I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan. If you buy it, you use it.
Right. And again, people kind of get into this mentality of thinking, say, I want to be safer, so I'm going to buy a gun.
Right.
And then okay, they buy a gun, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's taken care of. They put it on
Yeah.
in their nightstand or wherever they keep it,
Yep.
and it's like they feel like they're okay. It's like you've never shot the gun. You don't even
Yep.
know if it works well for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it isn't like a lot of other things. It's not just the generic thing that always works all the time.
Yep.
You've got
Yep.
to make sure that you know how to use it. You know how to take care of it. You know if something goes wrong because malfunctions happen when you're
Oh yeah.
firing a
Absolutely.
firearm, right? If you
Absolutely.
don't know how to deal with that, then that is not really doing you any good,
Yeah.
you know?
And
So,
just the difference between semi-auto and revolver.
yeah.
There's a lot that goes into a semi-auto, taking it apart, all that stuff. So there would be people that would come into our gun shop and be like, I don't know, I'm not mechanical, I don't know anything. I'm like, revolver for you.
There
Like
you
you literally
go.
push one button and it opens. That's
Yeah.
it. It's all you
Right.
gotta do. Clean everything you can see, and that's it. Leave it
Yep.
alone. But with a semi-auto, you gotta take it apart, you got springs, you got
Mhm.
magazines, you got locking to the rear, you got all this stuff. Like I said, it took me, someone who's been in the gun world for 10 years, took me like 4 different range trips to figure out that it was the slide catch missing the follow on the magazine. I've just never encountered that problem before.
Mhm.
I don't know if something chipped off or whatever, but just wasn't catching it. And
Yeah.
like, because that was the last thing, but I had to inspect my gear and figure it out, right?
Mhm.
Because it's got to work. If I'm going to
Yeah.
use it, it's got to work. And, sometimes we kind of had this joke at the gun shop when people would be buying a gun, you could tell they're just, and I remember I ran a gun shop during COVID. So
Mhm.
we had the lines out the door and around the block.
Right.
And some of those people probably shouldn't have guns, but it's their right to do it. And I'm 100% for that.
Right.
But there'd be people where I'm like, here's a flyer for my friend's training company. Please go get
Mhm.
training.
Yeah.
Please, dear God, go get training, because I just don't want you to be another ammo dump.
Right.
I don't want you to be the guy or girl that I come across someday and you're dead and a full magazine's right next to you because you didn't know how to reload your gun, you
Right.
know? So just train with this like anything. You don't you learn how to drive. You don't just get a car and enter races.
Right.
You
Exactly.
learn how to do this stuff, and you have to learn how it functions and how to use it and how to be, eh, just even mundanely baseline at it.
Hmm.
Just to have it.
Yeah. Well, just even with the driving scenario, it's like it isn't enough to know like the gas pedal and the brake and shifting.
Yeah,
That's not enough. You've got to actually learn how to drive
yeah,
and deal with all of the other things that are happening in the
hmm,
environment. Changing lanes, being on freeways, like dealing with other people who are assholes,
yep,
traffic. Like there's so many other variables that play into that. It isn't like when you first take your driving test and it's like, okay, that's all you ever need to know.
yeah,
It's like, no, there's a whole fucking lot more and
yeah,
more
yeah,
experience you've got to have to be a
absolutely,
competent driver,
yeah.
you know?
I used to, when my son was younger, I used to let him drive. We had a pretty big backyard. I used to let my son sit on my lap and steer the truck just
Hmm.
around our property. He's 8 now, and this is probably 2 years ago, so he was like 6. And he's like, "Oh, can we go on the street?" And I was like, "Oh no,
No, no, no.
no!" Like, I think sometimes grab the wheel because you're gonna run into something just in the
Mhm.
backyard, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, "There, you have to deal with other cars. You have to deal with stop signs. You have to deal with people. You have to deal just what do you do when something runs in front of you?" Like he just didn't grasp that. He was just like, "Yeah, yeah, you know." But
Uh,
it's the same thing. Like
yeah.
you gotta learn what you have, how to use it, but not only use it, but use it in different environments too. Freeway driving is very different from traffic in LA,
Right.
So
So, this is my own experience driving. This is when I was a teenager. I hadn't actually learned how to drive yet. My dad had like a full size van. And at the time, we lived on property that had like these greenhouses, right? So the van is pointed just kind of like crookedly towards the thing. And I don't know why I fucking decided I wanted to get into this van and move it, right? So without any knowledge of what I was doing, I knew I could turn it on and I knew there was a brake and a gas, right? And like I didn't have my foot on either of those pedals. And I put it in gear and it started to move forward like
Yep.
towards this greenhouse. And just out of reflex, I like stomped on the brake. And I'm really happy that it hit the brake because if I had hit the fucking gas, I'd driven straight
Yep.
through that thing.
Yep.
Right. So as soon as I stopped the vehicle, I put it back in park and got out of it. It's like, nope, that's enough of that. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I didn't,
Trial by fire.
I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I was just gonna, once I realized that, yes, I could have driven through that thing, it's like, no,
Yep.
I'm done. Mhm.
Yep. Yep. That's a little.
And not because I was worried about the greenhouse. I was worried about what would happen to me
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
after
yeah.
after that happened.
Yeah.
So
Greenhouses can't rebuilt, but
yeah,
when Pops finds out, that's a different story.
yeah. So my life was worth more to me than that greenhouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I've definitely been in situations like that before.
right. So, but you had also been prior law enforcement.
Mhm.
So what was your kind of experience with that?
So I did that after the military,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Oh, being a cop will be cool because it's like a job, and you don't have to deal with politics, and you don't have to like, you know." I that was the biggest reason I hated the military is I'm just not a political person.
Right.
As you can see, I just kind of say what I say.
Right.
Um, so I was like, "Oh, being a cop would be cool because it's a job people can get fired. If you don't do a good job, you get fired. That's how the world works, right?"
Right.
Yeah, I was wrong. I was way wrong. So, turned out the politics were even worse in law enforcement than they were in the military. So I was like, this is not the job for me. I like the job itself,
Hmm.
the culture and the politics stuff is just not right for me.
Yeah.
I I I literally one time told first sergeant to go fuck himself, and he did not appreciate that very
Yeah, I'll
much.
bet. Hmm.
Yeah, I was just like, man, and I just went off. And this was a boot camp.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, because I got in trouble for something, which rightfully so. I did something. I got in trouble.
Uh-huh.
And then he brought out this like 3-ring binder and he puts it on this desk and he opens it up and he starts flipping through these like certificates and like little plastic pages. And he said, "You know what this means?" And I was like, "No, for certain I don't." He goes, "This means I'm better than you." And I was like, I lost it, and I was like screaming. I go, "Outside these walls, you're qualified to be a taxi driver. Screw you! You can't like." And then because I went in the military older too, I was in my
Right.
20s,
Okay.
so I'd experienced life a bit, right? So I was like, "Screw you, bro! Like I'm not some 18-year-old kid you can just convince with your stupid binder."
Right.
And it was funny because the lieutenant was in there, and we just started laughing. He's like, "Oh man, that is not the reaction he was expecting."
Yeah.
And so I got in even more trouble, but still I was like, no, 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 no. Just because you've been here longer and you have more your name on a bunch of papers doesn't mean
Right.
you're better than me. Don't
Yeah.
ever say that to me. you
Hmm.
know. But yeah, so I was kind of that person. So I didn't do well with politics, I should say.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just, did my
Hmm.
own thing and then got out all that stuff.
Um, so I've noticed, just in my experience, I joined the army when I was 17, went through basic training, and then I was actually in the National Guard, so I wasn't
Oh,
regular
okay.
army.
Yeah.
So, but like getting out of basic training, you're in that environment where everything is super strict and you've got rules and everything is done a certain way.
Mhm.
And then you go to your drill, and they're the most lackadaisical
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
people, just like nothing is done. Everybody's just like, we'll get there, kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's like, the fuck is this?
What's going on here?
And I just didn't know how to respond to that right away. It took a minute. It's like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
This is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Working for Department of Corrections, we went through an academy for that too, and it was very paramilitary.
Hmm.
You've got rules. You march to fucking everywhere you go, and
Yeah.
everything is very military style, right? And
Yeah.
then when you get to the actual unit, it's the same thing all over again. It's like
Hmm.
everybody is just kind of half-assing whatever they're doing. You have officers that have been there for like 8, 10, 12 years, right?
Yeah.
That spend more time trying not to work than to actually get shit done,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's not everybody. There's lots of people that are fantastic at what they do.
Yeah.
The supervisors and people that I've had, fortunately, I've had really good supervisors at every unit that I've worked at,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that doesn't offset the overall administration, the director and his
Yeah.
stupid policies and how that trickles down,
Right.
you know, shit just rolls downhill and
Yeah.
we end up
Absolutely.
getting the worst
100%.
of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and
And
so,
you can have great direct leaders
yeah,
don't agree with that policy, but
right,
they have to do their job too.
exactly,
It's like, hey, look, I didn't write this policy. I don't
right,
like this policy, but I have to make you do it
yeah,
because I want to keep my job too.
right,
And those are the guys I respect because they're like, hey, look, man, we all got to do it.
hmm,
I'm sorry, it sucks, it's stupid, I agree, but we got to do it to keep our jobs.
yeah,
Whereas the guy who comes in is like drinking the Kool Aid, and you're like, this is what he said, this is what we do, and you're like, shut up, dude, like
right,
go back to your office.
yeah,
So those are the guys I never really like got along with. But the guys that like, like they said, hey, look, I got a level head on me.
hmm,
This is what's happening. We have to do it to keep our jobs.
right.
Okay, cool. I get
And
it.
so, I mean, for right now, until I have a job offer that I'm waiting for, to basically be here at TACUP full time
Yeah,
and doing this. Um, as soon as that kicks in, then I can leave the department. But until
yeah,
then, I'm where I am. And as much as I hate the department, I hate the direction that it's moving. I really, really strongly disagree with our active director
hmm,
right now and the policies he's trying to put into place. I think he has no business in that position whatsoever.
yeah,
Um, but with all of that being said, the actual people that I work with that are my unit on my shift,
yeah,
excellent. My supervisors are outstanding. I have nothing bad to say about any of them. You
yeah,
know, it isn't any of their fault that the organization is being run the way it is, or that it's
right,
being run into the ground.
yeah,
You know, it it just is what it is.
yeah. I mean, like I said, the same thing in the military and law enforcement too. Like your buddies, your team is usually pretty solid.
Yeah.
You always got that one or two guys where you're like, I don't know about that dude. But realistically, it's the guys next to you that make it worth it. But I found in law enforcement, I was like, it's just a job.
Right.
Like I'm not upholding an oath to my country or anything. It's just a job.
Hmm.
So I was like, the politics is just not my thing. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
So
And it's really unfortunate that politics has bled into like literally every facet of our lives now.
yeah,
You know,
yep,
even to the extent of you can't watch a fucking football game without all of the politics now.
yep, yep,
And I don't watch sports anyway. That's
yeah.
not my thing,
Me either. Yeah,
right? But I remember a time when at least everybody could agree on that.
yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't a political or a divisive thing. It just was.
yep,
It's something you watched for fun on
yeah.
Sundays.
Yeah, it's funny because I told you I was listening to Joe Rogan on the way here. He talked about the same thing. He said his parents were hippies and his friends' parents were conservatives, and guess what? They still hung out every Sunday and
Yeah.
had food. Like there wasn't that divide that there is now of
Mhm.
like this culture that's like so divisive and driven to different sides where we
Hmm.
can't even be friends anymore, and it just
Right.
creates all that political angst.
Hmm.
And it sucks. I
Right.
just can't stand it.
So Dan and I I've had him on the podcast a few times, and we talk about kind of stuff that's going on here. And we talk a little bit about politics, and we talk a lot about conspiracy theories, which is
Nice.
but like one thing that we both agree on is that there is like a period of time before major events right? So think about World War II, the 5 or 10 years that led up to that point where we actually entered into that war, right, were very formative times for everything that was about to happen,
Yeah.
right? And we both agree that we are living in that time right now.
Oh yeah.
The Everything that's happening, all the shit with the southern border, and then there's fucking terrorists and people that are
Oh
going to get in
dude.
this country.
Yeah.
It's like there's stuff that is going to happen,
Yeah.
and it's going to happen soon.
I agree. I
And
100% agree.
with all this, fighting the proxy wars in Ukraine and in with China,
Hmm.
you know, it's just there's so much that's going on. It's like it's all just boiling,
Oh yeah.
and it's ready to boil over.
Yep.
And we are in that time. We're like right up to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
Um,
agree. I totally agree. I think that rainy day is coming soon.
yeah,
You know,
you
and
know,
hopefully I'm just, not too old to play in rainy days when we get there.
right. So it's something to kind of keep in mind that like, and again, this is a large part of why I do the podcast in the first place, is because I want people to understand there's a lot of stuff going on that you're not either being told or that you're just not paying attention to.
I think the
Okay.
second one, the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people who are listening to the mainstream media are being told complete lies.
Hmm.
Everything is being, filtered through the lens of, hey, don't pay attention to this stuff that's really important over here. Let's focus on all the stupid shit over here.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so all of the divisiveness, all the division, is happening almost on purpose, and not even almost. It's happening
It's
on
designed.
purpose.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
To divide us as a people.
Hmm.
You know, and if you look at it from an outside perspective, from another country, let's say Russia, for example, right? This is their dream,
Yeah.
to have us divided so that we're easier to conquer.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, China, the Middle East, whoever they are that are our enemies, right?
Yeah.
This is for them is the greatest thing ever, right? But what really bothers me about all of this is that most of this division, the vast majority of it, is coming from our own fucking government.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
this administration is the worst in my lifetime.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, it's unbelievable that there are still people in this administration's corner.
right,
It's like, how do you not just look at what's happening? Like, how do you like there? Like, I saw a clip. I don't remember where I saw it, but there was a guy coming across the border, and they said, "Hey, who are you?" And he said his name or something. And he goes, "You'll know who I am soon enough." And I was
right,
like, "Holy crap! Like, if that's not a warning, what is?"
right,
And it's not, these are not like all people searching for better lives, these are people who have evil intent of our country.
right.
Like 100%. Like, okay, so you're a terrorist and you don't have to like even try to get in the country anymore.
Mhm.
Like the no fly list. Like I go through more scrutiny at the airport than these do people just walking in.
Yeah.
Like, and I am a upstanding, you know, country loving citizen.
Mhm.
And I go through more scrutiny in the airport where this dude could just walk in with it, whatever he wants on his back
Mhm.
and call it a day.
Right.
And then not only that, but he walks in, they're like, he goes to New York and they're like, hey, here's a debit card with $10,000 on it and your new ID.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I might take a trip to New York and get a $10,000 card,
Right.
just claim I'm from somewhere else.
Yeah. There you
Mhm.
go.
So it's
You know,
crazy.
but I mean, like, I'm just gonna come out and say it. Joe Biden is the worst fucking president we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, like, probably through most of our history, if not all of it.
But
Okay.
so I will, true, what you said, true.
Hmm.
Let's start there. True. But I would say that Joe Biden is not even the president. Joe Biden is a figurehead and he's being controlled by other people behind him.
Okay.
I would say that. I'm not going to say like, oh, it's this group or that group or whatever,
Hmm.
but I think Joe Biden's just a puppet, and they're he has to have a cue card to sit down and have a
Right.
conversation for everything.
Right.
He just falls by mysterious all the time. I heard I heard from people who heard from people who heard from
Hmm.
very reliable source that every time he like freezes and like doesn't know what to do, it's because he pooped his pants and doesn't know
Okay.
what to do, and he just
Right.
gets ushered off stage real quick.
Right.
And so he's literally just like this life support puppet that they can do their agendas with.
Hmm.
They just like that even that girl that got caught like tweeting, she was on the wrong account. She was supposed
Hmm.
to be on like Biden's account and she tweeted on her own account.
Hmm.
It's like, so it's clearly obvious that other people are just doing the things for him.
Right.
So I don't like you said, he's the worst president, but I think at this point you can't even blame the man. I don't even know if he knows what he's doing.
Right.
I don't even
So,
know. Like they must pump him full of so much stuff every day just to keep him alive at this point. that he's just like, okay, tell me what to do today, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, obviously that's going down the rabbit hole
Yeah.
pretty far, but I mean, if you just look at our country and what they're allowing to happen,
Mhm.
it's just, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
How could you not see this and go, oh, rain
Right.
days are coming soon?
Right.
You know?
Most of the time when I refer to the problems, I say the administration because I understand that he isn't solely responsible for everything
Well,
that's going
I
on.
don't think he's responsible for any of it because
Yeah.
his brain's just, he's
Yeah.
gone, man. Like he's a puppet.
Hmm.
So yeah, when you say administration, it's the people behind him that are
Right.
doing this. Yeah.
And so again, they're working so hard to divide the country, and I
Mhm.
just don't understand that. A, why would you want to weaken our own country and make us more vulnerable to somebody else?
Yeah.
You know? And B, like how does that even make any fucking sense?
Yeah.
I don't get it. You
Yeah.
know,
No, I agree. I
you
agree.
know.
It
But
a bit, but I mean, I I I don't know. You
yeah.
and you look at, you know, things that like people are not we're not okay with 5, 10 years ago, and now they're blatantly like this whole like removing Trump from the ballot thing. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying Trump's like the end all be all beautiful
Right.
person, but just to remove someone from the ballot because you don't like them.
Hmm.
Like, how is that America? Like,
Right.
what America is that? Because I don't
Hmm.
want to be a part of that America
Right.
where we put on the ballot whoever we want and be like, nope, we don't want him, so you're out. Like, I've talked about this at length with people. Like when America started, the founding fathers had this idea of let's find the best person
Hmm.
who is intellectual and physical and like a physical prowess. They have physical attributes that a president must follow,
Right.
represents the people foremost, and put them in office. So it's the best man for the job,
Right.
literally, right?
Yeah.
In all aspects, they like, okay, he can't be too old because he's going to be frail, in mind and body. He can't be this, can't be that. Has to be this, has to be that. So they built this framework, and it's been so just destroyed over time that
Hmm.
now it's whoever has more money gets to be the president. You
Yeah.
know, and then they only get 4 to 8 years, and then they just screw everything up, and then we got to fix everything, or they don't. They screw everything up, and we don't fix everything.
Hmm.
So it just became this like career politicians that are like it's disgusting. Like your
Hmm.
whole life you just wanted to be a politician. Like what is that?
Right.
Like it used to be like, hey, I owned a business, I had employees, I've worked hard for my money, I understand the problems of the people. That's why I'm leading them.
Hmm.
Now it's like you have no clue what I'm going through.
Right.
You know, so it's so far gone from what it was designed to be.
Right.
Is the as the president representing the country,
Hmm.
it wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be an elected of the people, not
Hmm.
just like a guy who wanted to do that one day.
Right.
So it's disgusting where it's ended up, in my opinion.
Yeah. So kind of going back to something you said earlier, the idea that like decades ago, the hippies and the conservatives could get along,
Yeah,
if you think about it, like back, if you want to go back 30, 40, 50 years, right? The differences between the Democrats and the Republicans were largely over like, okay, we have all this money, how do we spend it?
yeah,
And it's like we have our ideas about this and we have our ideas about that,
right,
and they may not agree, but at the end of the day, it wasn't really that big a deal.
yeah,
You know, most of the country wasn't going to change course and most people's lives weren't going to be affected
right,
one way or the other.
yep,
Okay. The things they're arguing about now, though, are not that simple. Now they're talking about issues that are like way beyond things that seem reasonable.
yeah,
Okay,
oh yeah,
so let's take the idea that we're going to mutilate children because we're going to allow them to decide what gender they want to be.
yeah.
Okay, that's not okay.
And just the way they frame it too, like in
Yeah,
the verbiage, like how they say it, and you're like, I mean,
yeah.
what? Say what now?
Right.
Uh,
So, children aren't allowed to make decisions about anything.
yeah,
They can't get tattoos. They can't join the military. They can't have firearms.
yeah,
There's just like a whole list of things that they're not allowed to do because they're fucking children.
yeah. They have
But
no
you're
mind
telling me
on
they
them.
have the autonomy to decide what gender they want to be?
Oh, by the way, this is a lifelong decision
Yeah,
that you can't go back from.
right.
You know.
Again, we are mutilating
Mhm.
children. Okay.
Oh,
And one side of the aisle is saying, yes, this is perfectly acceptable. And if you don't agree, you're an evil person.
uh-huh.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So then you've got things like, what's another big issue? Like our whole education system. It's like, that it's the government's job to educate your children, not yours as a parent.
Yeah.
That's like, when did that become okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got people that are arguing that being attracted to children minor attracted,
Yeah,
is a normal thing, and
yeah,
that they're not pedophiles. They're not evil people that should be destroyed.
yeah.
It's
They
like,
just have different aspects of their
you know,
lives. You know, it's just like,
so
oh,
instead of like arguing, it's like, well, you know, how do we spend our money? It's like now you're arguing about things that are like literally on the line of true evil things that
and not
shouldn't be
only that,
happening.
but they're really no business of the government.
Yeah,
Like they're moral decisions. Like
right,
morally, as a people, we should be like, no, people that do things to kids are wrong.
right.
And then the government has to step in and be like, yeah, but we're going to control what's wrong. You know,
Hmm.
morally as a society, like even more than the government, the morals of society are being eroded,
Right.
so that that becomes okay, and then we can give that to the government, and they can decide what's what. You
Hmm.
know, it's just it's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, the dichotomy of the things that they're arguing about has changed so significantly
Oh
over
yeah,
time
yeah.
that it's like it's not even the same fucking argument anymore.
No, no, no.
Now instead of like, it's my idea versus your idea, it's like something that I believe is absolutely evil and wrong versus, hey, let's fucking try to regain our senses here and decide this is not how things are supposed to be.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
where do you fall on that scale?
Yep. I mean, it's an old saying, you give 'em an inch, they'll take a mile. You know, you
Yeah.
give them one little thing and then they're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, but this, and this." And you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's not what I said.
Hmm.
It's not where I wanna go." You
Yeah.
know, if you wanna live your own life, cool.
Hmm.
Don't let it bother me. But now you're forcing me to call you things, or you're forcing my kids to do certain things, or you're forcing me to inject my body with certain things. Like,
Hmm.
whoa, hold pump the brakes there, bro. Like, this has nothing to do with you.
Right.
The chemicals I put in my body are none of your damn business,
Right.
right? You're the government. You decide where our money goes as a country and who we're going to fight. You know, like what goes in my blood, that's my decisions.
Hmm.
You know, and no, 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 vaccine for everybody, vaccine for everybody. And just like,
Yeah.
whoa,
You know,
I think that's stepping on some lines there.
yeah, there's just some really horrible things that are going on,
Yeah.
and they keep misinterpreting on purpose the Constitution and
Hmm.
our Bill of Rights and like all of these things and saying it doesn't actually say that. It means this.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try to act accordingly. It's like, no, that isn't how that fucking works,
Yeah.
you know?
I
And at
mean,
some
being in the
point,
gun industry, that I've heard the Second Amendment one a billion times.
mhm,
Well, when they wrote that, it meant muskets. Well, cool. When they wrote, freedom of speech, they didn't mean computers. They meant ink, pen, and paper.
right,
So does the rights not equate?
right,
Well, no. If we're going to translate it, we're going to translate it. Let's be equal across the board.
hmm,
It's the right of the people to bear arms. It's not the right to people to bear muskets.
right,
You know. So yeah, it's just we're eroding it all so much to just form it into
mhm,
whatever we want that it's just so far removed from the
yeah.
original. Yeah.
And so they do this thing that I call incremental surrender,
Hmm.
right? So they just take small steps,
Yep.
small things, and people just like, they don't like it, but they're not willing to fight to stop it. So
Yeah.
they're okay with it, and they take one little more step and a little more and a little more, and eventually you've lost everything. You've
Yeah.
lost all of your rights. You've lost all of your privileges. You
100%.
know, in other places like Canada, they've decided, well, you know what? You don't have the right to defend your life,
Yeah.
so you are not allowed to have firearms.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a God-given right. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
nobody can tell you, not the government or anybody else can tell you, you do not have the right to defend your own life.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna like sit here and get murdered because
Yeah,
it's against the law to fight back. Like,
right,
what? You gotta be joking me. Like,
right.
come on, man. Yeah.
There's so many of these things that are happening,
Yeah.
and that may not be happening here, but it isn't for lack of trying.
Oh yeah.
There,
Yeah.
there are
Absolutely.
plenty of politicians and plenty of organizations that are pushing for these things fucking constantly.
Yeah.
And if it were up to them, and if we didn't have the Second Amendment, they would already be in place.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And that goes to part of what the government's doing. All these things are eroding, and one of their main focuses is getting guns out of our hands as citizens.
right,
Because once they get the guns out of our hands, they can do whatever they want in the other
right,
aspects. I mean, the Japan had it right so many years ago, a gun behind every blade of grass. Well, that applies internally too.
right,
Our government knows there's a gun behind every blade of grass. So,
right.
that's the same thing. If they try
Hmm.
and weed them out and for certain reasons in certain ways, well, yeah, now your own populace cannot rise against you.
Hmm.
And, it's just, like this country is, it's swirling the hole right now.
Right.
It sucks because it's like, you and I, as freedom loving Americans, like we can voice our opinion, but that lady that has all day to stand at a stupid protest And then the whole next day to go to a county board meeting that's the middle of the day where you and I are at work,
Hmm.
guess what? She's going to get hurt and we're not,
Right.
because we're just living our lives trying to do the best we can.
Right.
Where this girl like just wants to scream.
Hmm.
So it sucks. It's like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Old
Right.
saying, right?
Yeah.
Old saying.
So, I mean, regardless of everything else, there's going to come a point where all of the ideology is going to run face first into fucking reality,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where it's going to stop.
Yep.
And how that stops could be a number of things. It could just be that everybody decides, we've had enough and pull your head out of your ass and let's fix things now.
Yeah.
Or it could get to the extent of like, now we're going to have a civil war and we really don't want that.
No. No.
Nobody wants that,
Nope.
you know? Um, I honestly hope that we never get to that point, but I also understand that if things keep going the way they are, that's entirely possible.
Mm-hmm.
This country is not unique in its history of you have government that has just over time, like you said, has eroded the liberties of its citizens to the
Yeah.
point where now it's a totalitarian government and we're just going to do everything we feel like we want to do.
Yeah.
And how does that usually work out? Look at history. Throughout all of history,
Easy to see.
every fucking one of those, regimes or governments has fallen
Right.
because you can't do that. You can't sustain that. The people won't just sit there and take that
Yep.
forever.
Yep.
Eventually they're going to say, nope, we've had enough. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. You
You
can,
know?
I mean, it's one of those things that you can only beat a dog so far until it bites you,
Yeah.
you know?
You know?
Eventually they're going to get pushed into a corner and they're going to be like, no, I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm done,
Right.
you know? And,
So
and right back.
my sincere hope, and I really do hope this, that we find a way to like start moving back towards reason and objective truth
Yeah,
so that we don't have to find out what that other side looks like,
I agree.
you know?
And the pendulum swing is going to be a hard one,
Yeah.
you know? Like this coming election, I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
Hmm.
I feel like this could be the start of something big, you
Right.
know? If by Trump getting elected, it could just boil over.
Hmm.
You know, there's people that hate him and they have a severe hatred. Like it's unbelievable how much
Right.
they like hate this guy.
Yeah.
Like I don't I don't feel that much passion about anything that's not immediately my family or my life,
Hmm.
and it's crazy. So I
Right.
feel like that extreme hatred could garner some evil things.
I understand why the politicians hate him as much as they do.
Well, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
because that's their peer level,
right,
right?
because on their level they understand that he's not going to be beholden to anything they have. They
Right.
they have no sway over what he does or says
Yeah,
because he's rich, he's famous, he doesn't give two shits.
you can do whatever you want. Yeah,
It doesn't matter. At the end
yeah,
of the day, it doesn't matter. He could have been the worst fucking president we ever had, like Biden, or not. And
yeah,
in the end of the day, he didn't care.
yep,
It wasn't going to matter to him.
yeah,
Okay. But the average person who only understands what they're being fed by the mainstream media, they're being told constantly that this person is just absolute evil and that
mhm,
everything to do with him is evil. And unfortunately, they're buying into that.
yeah,
And so they're looking at him through that lens and saying, yeah, he's the evil, bad orange man,
yeah.
you know?
But it's just astonishing to me the people on the street that have the extreme hatred of him. And
Hmm.
it's like, I honestly just don't care about people that much, I guess.
Right.
Like I mean, yes, the whole vitality of the nation is going to affect me, but I mean, if he's in office or Biden's in office, like it affects everyone the same, but like I don't have extreme hatred or
Hmm.
extreme love for those people.
Right.
Like they're just over there and they do their thing and it trickles down and affects me. But that extreme hatred is just so bizarre to see at that like level of disconnect,
Right.
like that you never even met the guy. Like, how do you hate him so much?
Right.
I used to know this girl, and she would be like, I'd say like, oh, so and so actor was in this movie. And she goes, oh, I hate that guy. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, do you know him? Did he
Right.
beat your dog? Like, what is going on? Like, why
Right.
do you hate him? And she's like, no, no, no. I just hate him in movies. I was like, so you don't even know him? Like,
Right.
you've never watched an interview. You just don't like the characters he's played. So
Right.
if you say, hey, I hate that character, cool, I get that
Right.
because you've developed that story. You've seen what happens,
Uh-huh.
but you just hate this actor because why? I was like,
Right.
geez, that level of like passion of hatred, and I'm just like, where did that even come from in you? Like,
Right.
why? And it's bizarre.
Yeah.
So
It's a strange thing
yeah,
that people develop.
yeah, it's crazy. I just don't get it, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, I have bigger things to worry about. Like,
Right.
I need to drive. I need to make dinner. I need to
Yeah.
teach class. I need to take my kids to school.
Yeah. And so here's kind of another way to think about things that like most people, if you look at the last 30 years, let's just say, the whole global war on terror, all of the other things that have gone on politically, whatever, back and forth, most people's lives don't change that much on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis. They get up, they go to work, they come home, they hang out with the families,
Yep.
do whatever they do. Okay. You know, their lives don't change that drastically,
Hmm.
except that it does. They're just not paying attention to the parts that matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Your everyday life, you got up, you went to work, you came home, right? But how much did it cost you for fucking gas?
Yep.
How
Yep.
much did it cost you for your food? How much did it cost you for all these other things? How much are you being taxed?
Yep.
Everything has gone up dramatically. Inflation is just ridiculously high,
Yeah.
right? You know, that's the thing you should be paying attention to,
Yeah.
not whether Donald Trump was elected or not.
Yeah.
You know,
And they just go, oh, well, we just can't do anything this weekend because we don't have money. Well, why
yeah,
don't you have money?
right,
Because you paid double in gas, you paid double in groceries, your rent or house, that's
right,
insanely expensive too. Like there's factors that you need to look at and
right,
understand. Like, oh, I guess we can't afford that. Well, why can't you afford it?
mhm,
What changed?
right,
There you go. That's what changed.
right,
Fix that. Go back to the source. Like, why don't you have this resource anymore? Figure it out and then be like, oh, well, who's responsible for this? I didn't spend more money this month, like out of my pocket. I
mhm,
bought the same. I fed four people. I drove my same car throughout the years. Same thing. Like, what is the factor? So
right,
then you can easily trace it back to where it
yeah.
needs to be.
And people are being affected on so many levels that they're just not paying attention to.
Yep.
It's like you are not recognizing where the actual problems are.
Hmm.
The people that you're electing that keep putting these laws in place and keep taking more and more of your rights and keep costing you more and more money,
Hmm.
it's like that's what you should be focused on,
Yeah.
not all the other ancillary things that are
Yeah.
just like that don't really affect you,
Yeah.
you know?
Like one of them is the he, him, her pronouns. Like,
Yeah,
I don't give a shit what you call me.
right,
Because I have so much other things that I need to do today. Like
right,
I need to drive there, do this, pick up that, drop this off, call
mhm,
this guy. Like if someone walks by me and goes, "Hey, what's up, chick?" I don't care at
right,
all. Like, oh, okay,
right,
cool. Like, but the amount of emotional distress these people put on that is like,
yeah,
man, you just don't have anything in your life, do you?
right,
Like, it's just bizarre. Like,
right. It's just sort of like if you were walking down the street, somebody said, "Hey, bitch,"
yeah. I feel
it's
like
like, okay, it's not
that was
that
weird.
big a deal, you know?
But I still got to pick my son up at 2:30.
Exactly. It's like it's only a big deal if you allow that to be, you
Yeah,
know? So the idea of misgendering somebody, which I think is a stupid fucking term,
especially when they
you know?
make up terms. You're like,
Yeah,
that's not a thing.
right. So, and the whole thing of like, I identify as, it's like, I don't give a fuck,
Yeah,
you know? I identify as a fucking 6'4" Samoan,
yeah.
you know, with six pack abs.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to identify as that too.
you need to treat me as such.
Yeah,
So specifically when you're talking to me, you need to be looking up here
yeah,
because I'm about a foot tall.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I'm gonna try
you
it.
know, so
I identify as 7'3", so
yeah,
address me here,
yeah,
please.
exactly. You know, it's just one of those things. And one of the funniest things I've ever heard, I was listening to a thing with Ben Shapiro, and he's doing one of his things on the college campus, and this girl's talking about how she identifies as something or another. He goes, "Why don't you identify as a 64-year-old woman?"
Uh,
And she just stopped. Like she had just no fucking answer for that. It's like, you're telling me you want to be this or that. It's like, why aren't you identifying as something else?
yeah.
Because that wouldn't make any sense.
I think
Exactly.
your stuff does.
Yeah, it's like it it's completely unreasonable,
Yeah, yeah,
So, and not only is it unreasonable for you to pretend that you're something that you aren't, but to expect that everybody else in the world is just going to agree with you
yeah.
and play along. It's like, no, that's
Like it used to be a time where like you had someone in the room acting weird and you and I walk in and look at this and someone goes, "Oh, that guy thinks he's a cat," and you're like, fucking weirdo,
yeah,
you know? Now it's like, oh, I need to address him as cat. I'm like, no, dude, that's an idiot who thinks he's a cat, you
right,
know? Like, no, yeah, so it's very obvious like the world has changed where you and I would be like, dude, that crazy person over there thinks they're a cat,
right,
Now it's like, oh, well, he identifies as a cat, so we
yeah,
need to address him as cat. It's like, no,
right.
that's not you are a human being.
hmm
That's how that works.
And then you and I were talking about this before we started recording, the whole idea of people's perception about how they're being treated,
Yeah.
and how they're being, oppressed or insulted or whatever the thing is. It's like that's your perception. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that that's really the thing.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
you were telling me the story about the guy that became a woman and
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. No one cares what gender you are. You're just a bad person.
yeah,
You're just an asshole.
right,
And so I'm going to treat you accordingly.
right,
It has nothing to do with you being a guy or a girl. I don't care which
yeah,
one you want to be today. It doesn't
right,
bother me. But if you're going to be a jerk, I'm going to treat you accordingly.
right. It's
So,
like you were an asshole when you were a guy, and you're an even bigger asshole when you're a woman.
yeah.
So
And
if it,
now you just think you're an asshole because you were a guy that became a woman. Well,
right,
no, that's not true. You're just an asshole
right,
from the get go,
right,
like whole way through.
yeah.
So,
And so I was telling you about the study that they did where they put like prosthetic like scarring or
right, right.
things on people's face, and
Yeah,
this is for the people that didn't hear it first time. They'd have people going into a scenario where they're being interviewed, and they're being told that their job is to kind of pay attention to how the other person, the interviewer, is treating them
yeah,
based on the scarring or things like that, right? And at the last minute, they say, "Hey, we got to touch up the makeup or whatever," and when they take the thing off, when the person goes into the
yeah.
interview, and because they have this mental perception of they've still got
They think it's there. Yeah,
I think it's there, they're formulating an opinion about how they're being treated based on that false narrative, right?
yeah,
And so that when they come out, they're reporting, oh, they treated me poorly, or they did this, or they did that, or I didn't get hired for the position because of this. It's like there wasn't anything there.
yeah.
It's
Guess what?
your own self perception. It's like that doesn't make it reality.
Right.
And it's the same thing for a lot of other things. I told you a story earlier about like this kid that I met who was probably like 13 years old, right? He was a good looking kid. He moved here from another state,
Yeah,
and he thought that he was being treated differently here than where he's from, where everything was more familiar. It's like, did it ever occur to you that just people might be looking at you because you're a good looking kid?
yeah,
It's like it
yeah.
doesn't have to be because you're black or you're short or you're tall or you're fat, or it doesn't have to be any of those things.
Yep,
It could be any of them.
yep.
But don't just assume that that's don't leap to the worst conclusion to start with, and then form everything from there.
Yeah. Don't have your bias just because it's what you think.
Right.
That happens all the time.
You
People are
know.
just like, "Oh, I think this." I'm like, "Well, no, actually, this, and this."
Right.
Oh, I didn't see it that way. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the point. You didn't see it that way because you
Right.
didn't think outside the box. You didn't go, this is what I think, so that's what must be what everyone else is thinking.
Right.
Well, it's not true at all, you know? So, yeah, it's just crazy how people oh, you see me this way. I have a lot of tattoos. I wear Vans. I skateboard a lot. People see me as this it's funny because I went into this my friend's house and I showed up. Both my kids have full sleeve tattoos of like temporary tattoos, but I'm talking full sleeve, like covered, just like I do. Right. I walk in. I'm wearing like a cut off shirt and shorts, so my legs are sleeved, my arms are sleeved.
Right.
I walk in and my kids walk in. They have tattoos, and it was just funny because later, one of the girls that was at this barbecue went up to my friend who is at the house, and she goes, I was so blown away. Like your friends walked in and they were all tatted up and they looked tough and they looked gnarly and they were like the nicest people ever.
Right.
And I was like, he's like, yeah, I mean, like, do you think I'd hang out with assholes? You think I'd invite assholes to my barbecue? Like,
Right.
come on. And she's like, yeah, I just had this perception of because that's just the way I see things. And
Right.
I don't look like a particularly nice person when I walk somewhere. I just have a serious face. I'm just focused. But when you start talking to me, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, man, what's up? How's it
Right.
going? So she was just blown away by like how nice you were. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
because why wouldn't you expect immediately for someone to be nice and then have them prove you wrong?
Hmm.
But that's the way people perceive. Oh, I perceive everyone's gonna be a jerk to me today. Guess what? You're
Yeah.
gonna see that.
Right.
You're gonna
If
make
that's
the
what you're
yeah.
expecting, then yeah,
That's
of
what you're
course.
expecting, and that's what you're gonna see, and that's how you're gonna perceive things.
Right.
Yeah, they're gonna be jerks. Just the
So
way it is.
this is something I'm not sure if I've ever talked about on the podcast before, but it's something that really bothers me. And I'm going to use black people as an example just because they're the ones that stand out the most to me.
Mhm.
Not because they're the only ones that suffer from this, but they're the ones that I think this applies to really strongly. And that is that they're being told from a very early age by mainstream media, by their own culture, by their own,
Yeah.
community, that that they are oppressed, that they are victims, that they are going to be treated poorly, all because they're black, right?
Mhm.
So if you look at this from a different perspective, if you had a kid that was born with a mental defect or mental retardation or like some other like birth defect, I have a good friend of mine who literally is missing his arm from the elbow down on his left arm, right?
Mhm.
He was born that way, right? Um, you know, you wouldn't look at that child and say, the world is going to treat you poorly because of that.
Yeah.
You know, that you are at a disadvantage, that you are going to be oppressed, that you are going to be blah, 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 right? You would never, ever look at that child and tell them that and teach them that their whole fucking lives.
Yeah.
And yet that's exactly what black people do.
Yeah. And it would be the opposite, in fact. The
Yeah,
guy with no arm, you'd be like, you can do anything you want. We just have to learn how to do it. We have to adapt it to you. You can do it.
right,
Like you would take them and be like, you would flourish that and be like,
right.
you want to do this? Cool. Let's figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Instead of looking at all of the positive examples, like
Yeah.
all the greatest things that they've ever achieved and say, this is what we can be.
Yeah.
You know, they focus solely on our past with slavery
Hmm.
and like all of the other negative things that have happened, you know, and just like you get all the BLM bullshit, you know, and like that's what you're teaching them. That's what you're setting them up for.
Yeah.
That's the lens they're going to view the world through,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I, that's something that drives me absolutely fucking crazy and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand why you would choose that to be the message you give to your children.
Yeah. Instead of a positive, like you can do it. You can
Yeah,
be something. You can go forward. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Like
So,
this is the only thing you can do.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I guess this is the only thing I can do then.
yeah, you're going to be at such a disadvantage. You're going to be lucky if you succeed at all.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that's
I guess that's what
yeah,
is destined for me.
right. You know, and then go out into the world with that perspective. It's like, of course, you're setting them up for failure.
Yep.
You know, right out of the gate.
Yeah, positivity is a crazy thing.
Hmm.
You apply positivity to people and you push them and excel them and be like, hey, you can do great
Right,
stuff. I don't care what you've done in the past. I don't care what you think is wrong. You can do better.
right.
Like you can push it, you can get it out. And you see people's perceptions change. Like,
Hmm.
I promise you can do this. Like, I'll say
Right,
that in my classes a lot. I promise you can do this.
right.
And they'll be like, what do you mean? I'm like, trust me. I know what it is and I know you and I know you can do this. And I'm
Right.
like, okay. And they try it and they're like, wow, I could do it. I was like, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I told you that from the beginning, didn't I?
there you go.
I'm not surprised. You
Right.
shouldn't be either. You should have a better mentality of what you can do.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And I want to reiterate again, this is not exclusive to black people. This is just a human thing.
yeah,
You know, it's I don't care what race you are, I don't care what gender you are, I don't care anything. The ideas that you teach children, that's essentially what you're setting them up to do.
yeah,
That's the way that you're preparing them to deal with life,
yeah,
right? You have two kids, right?
hmm,
I'm sure that you don't spend a lot of time telling them what they can't do.
yeah,
You tell them,
yeah,
you know, A, that they can do it, and B, how to do it.
yeah,
You know, that's how you create success for them,
yep.
you know?
And if I don't know how to do it, I say, let's look it up. Let's form the path. Let's have a plan. Let's do this. We
Right.
can figure it out. And don't go like my son, he just raised enough money to get a Nintendo Switch.
Hmm.
He raised the whole money by himself. Took him like 3 months and he did it. And I told him from the beginning, you can do it. And he said, well, I what job can I do around the house for like $40? I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing you're gonna get. And I
Right.
go, but guess what you can do? You can do a job for $2 here, you can do a job for $3 there, you can do a job for $2 here, and it grows and it compounds I'll teach him hard work. And guess what? He raised up all the money to buy it and he didn't have any games.
Right.
And I was like, guess what? That's how life works.
Yeah.
You buy the car, it don't come with gas for free for life.
Right.
You still got to put money into it. You still got to work hard. You still got to push these things forward. And from the beginning, like when I told him, we looked at the price and it was like $300 for a Nintendo Switch. He's like, I'll never be able to raise that. And I go, with that mentality, you
Yeah.
won't.
Exactly.
If you say never, then guess what? It'll never happen.
Hmm.
But just say, yes, I can. And it took a while, but he pursued and he persisted. And 3 months later, he got it. You know,
Right.
and then I'll tell you what, he's gone through all the settings on it like a million times because he didn't have any games.
Yeah.
But he did it. And now
Right.
he's like, okay, the next goal is a game. I
Right.
gotta save up the money to buy a game.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. Let's figure it out. Let's do it. But one of the oldest things in the world too is how you eat an elephant. One bite at a time.
Right.
You don't go, crap, let's spend 60 years trying to figure out how to swallow the elephant whole when you could have ate it in a week,
Yeah.
taking one bite at a time.
Right.
Just you got to see it, focus, and be like, all right, how do I do this? And push your limits and push your ideas
Mhm.
and just do it.
Right.
And that's what people so often will be like, hey, there's an elephant, just walk away because it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Well, I bet you Bet you I can.
Right.
You know? I'll figure it
You'll
out.
sit back and watch me.
Yeah, exactly. So that mentality is forced on kids all the time, and
Mhm.
they don't realize what they're doing. Like,
Right.
you can't do this.
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Right.
The kids aren't smart enough to be young, impressionable ages to be like, I can do that. They're just told what they're told.
And this is another challenge that I will put on parents. It's like it is your job to teach your children to think
Yeah,
and to the way that they understand things. Yes, they go to school and they get to learn things like math, reading, writing, like basic things, right?
yeah,
And that's where the fucking education should stop in our school system, okay?
yeah, yeah.
All the political stuff, that's none of their business. That's not their
Right.
place to teach you those things, right?
Agreed.
It's your job as a parent to teach them the things that are important and how they should be thinking about things.
Yeah.
Teach them to be critical thinkers,
Yep.
right? Because that isn't happening in
Teach
school
them just to
either.
be good people.
Yeah,
I mean, start there.
right,
Just be a good person,
right.
you know? And
You
then
know,
critical thinking and just how to take knowledge and be like, that doesn't seem right.
right,
Let me look into that,
hmm,
and they figure it out and they're like, oh yeah, that's not right. And now I can make an informed decision,
right.
not just be like, oh, well, that's what the media said. That's what the news said.
Hmm.
That must be true. Well, not necessarily.
Yeah,
Did you do any research yourself? No, I was just told that. Well, let's look into it, you
right.
know? So yeah, stuff like that is imperative that you teach your kids that,
Hmm.
because then it will instill them at an early age so that when you're not around, they still have that and they can still resort to it and be like, oh, my dad taught me that I know how to look into this, or I know how to do this on my
Right,
own, or I can push. I saw my dad do this,
hmm,
so I can do it too.
right,
Stuff like that, where you just teach them like, hey, you can do it. Like I tell my son now, I go, what do you want to be when you grow up? Anything. Pick anything you want.
right.
And he's like, well, I like, I want to be like a, what do you say? Not an architect. What are Indiana Joneses? What is that? Archaeologist. There
Archaeologists.
you go. Archaeologist. I was like, okay, let's figure out how to do it.
Right,
What schools do you need to go to? What classes can you take? What camps can you go to? What other stuff can we do to facilitate that and push you in that direction?
right,
And then you might go a year from now, like, maybe it's not what I want to do, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna push for it.
right,
If that's something that your heart desires, let's do it. Let's get after it and let's do it. And I,
right,
and I go, plus Indiana Jones is pretty rad. So
right,
I go, but trust me, it won't be like that.
right. I
It will
won't be
not be
anything
like
like
that.
that.
You won't be fighting Nazis, I
Mhm.
promise. So,
Yeah. And so this is another thing that I've been saying for many years, and I'll say it again now that your job as a parent, your number one job is to become an inspiration for your children.
mhm,
That's it. That's
yeah,
what you should be focused on.
yeah,
Be somebody that they can be inspired by
yeah.
and that they want to be like,
Yep,
you know?
yep. Or even if you're not the inspiration, you can feed them the inspiration.
Yeah.
I grew up in a single parent family, like it was just me and my mom. And like she would always push me to be like, hey, you can do this, you can be better, you can do things, where it's like, okay, I know that just because my mom had a disadvantage, or my mom was working a lot of hours to keep me in private schools, that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that I can't excel past that. That doesn't mean that's where my cap is too.
Right.
My mom pushed me to be further and get better on that too. So it's like, just because you may not have the life that is inspiring doesn't mean you can't still do that.
Right.
Push them, inspire them. Like, guess what? The library is full of free books,
Right.
and you can check them out and read and research and have fun and go through that stuff.
Mhm.
Like my kid loves drawing comics. Like he draws comics, and I'm like, cool. Let's look into that. Let's read about it. Let's figure
Right.
out, how much is it. And like we had a career day at a school, and just quick example. We had a career day at a school, and all the other kids were like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell lollipops," and one kid was like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell donuts." And I was like, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, "I don't know. What would be fun?" I was like, "You tell me, like whatever
Right.
you want to do." Like he's like, "Well, I'd like to be a tattoo artist." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
let's look into that. Let's look at how much like that would pay." And I go, "Those kids have to buy a product and then resell that product for a profit."
Hmm.
Okay, so let's look at what the math is. Like, how much did they pay for a donut? How much are they selling a donut for? And I go, and then you, as a real tattoo artist, would just be applying things. You would have supplies, yes. But I said, do you know how much a tattoo artist can make per hour if you're good? And he goes, how much? I go, $250 an hour. And he goes, what? I was like, yeah. Guess what? If you're skilled and you're good at something and you excel in it, you can make money, and
Right.
that's how it works. And so he did a career day where all the other kids were selling donuts, and he was applying temporary tattoos to everybody.
Nice.
And I was like, look at your overhead, your temporary tattoos, a whole sheet like that was maybe $1, and you cut them out, and now you have 10 of them and you sell 10 for $1. What's your profit margin? And so
Right.
I taught him all this stuff. Like same thing with saving for the Nintendo. Like you got to build that business ethic and that perseverance and that push and that like mindset of like, I'm not just gonna be given stuff, you know. Like
Right.
I need to work and I need to try and I need to be a part of this.
Mhm.
And so like he killed it, you know, and like
Right.
I have a picture of me sitting in his classroom getting a temporary tattoo on my neck, and all the other kids are like dealing donuts and lollipops, you know.
Right.
So it's pretty fun. But
That's really
just
cool.
like I said, like cool, you pick whatever you want, and we'll make that your school business day.
Right.
You know, if you said you want to be a doctor, cool, you're selling band-aids. You know, we'll figure it out. Like whatever, we'll figure it out.
Right.
You'll have a thesaurus there and be looking up crazy big words and figuring it out. But
Yeah.
just pursue it. Like grab their attention with whatever it is
Right.
and facilitate it and pursue it so that they, you know, it makes it interesting to them. So
Yeah.
that it's not like, you know, oh, I want to be an archaeologist. That's stupid. That's boring. Don't do that.
Right.
Well, there you go. I just crushed his dreams. You
Right.
know, like cool. If that's what you want to do, it's not for me. If that's what you want to do, let's
Right.
do it. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do that a lot with him. Like I said, the comic books thing. Like we're now watching videos on how to draw comics better.
Mhm.
You know, like because he wants to get good at it, and I was like, you don't get good at it by just sitting there. You
Right.
know, learn it, do it. I was like, he's like, well, I always draw comics about other characters. I was like, yeah, but you're getting good at the facilitating. You're getting good at the writing. You're getting good at the scripting. You're getting good at the characters. Now you just take all that you've learned, put it in your own guy, and you're good. You're golden, you know? So
Right.
it's cool. It's like watching him like progress and learn. And, you know, he worked on a comic book for multiple days. He'll script it and then he'll draw it and then he'll color it. And he's like, that's a lot of work. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But that's how it is, you know?
Mhm.
Like, so I go teach every day, but you think I'd teach just like we got back to just showing up not knowing anything? No,
Yeah.
I learned all this stuff, you know.
Right.
So it's fun to facilitate what they're after and push it. I enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
someone asked me a while ago, like, if you had to pick anything in your life to do, what would it be? And I said, to raise good humans.
Mhm.
That's it. If I could do one thing in my entire life, and that was all I was ever known for, and I never did anything successful other than that, it was raise good humans.
Right.
Make my children good humans. That's it.
There you
And
go.
that'd be it.
We need way more people to adopt that perspective.
Yeah. It's such a simple one too.
Yeah.
And you would think that it would be easy to adopt, and it's just you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
But yeah.
So, I think that's an excellent place to leave off. I typically would ask people like what their best dad advice is, but you basically just gave it all to us. So,
Raise good humans.
yeah, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate your willingness to drive all the way out here to
Yeah, no
do the
problem, man.
podcast.
Yes.
You know,
I'll be here again because I like this facility. We'll come back, do some
absolutely,
training here, do some classes. Yeah.
yeah. So, um, like I said, it was great having you out here, and I look forward to like working not more directly because obviously you're in a different state, but
Yeah.
you know, our connection with Josh,
Yeah.
you know, and collaborating on different things. And hopefully, if you do come back here and do some training,
Yeah.
you know, we can work on stuff that way. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. In fact, driving out here, I just got the email for his like he's having like a powwow of all the
yeah,
heads of his company,
mhm,
and he wants them to come in and do a thing. So I'll be back out here later this month for that. And just like
yeah,
yeah. So yep. But yeah, Phoenix isn't that far.
right,
And I was thinking, I was like, man, maybe next time I'll just fly out for an hour and fly back. I'm like,
right,
I'm not above that.
yeah,
We'll do it. If we want to do another one, I'll just fly out for like a little while and
yeah.
we're back to the airport and fly home, knock it
There
out
you
in a
go.
day.
Right,
So we'll do more.
there you
We'll
go.
have fun. I had fun. I hope you had fun.
Absolutely,
Have fun, train hard, right?
exactly. All right, and that is a perfect place to end. So I will go ahead and say, bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, you can now support the Non-Victim Nation by donating via listener support directly on Spotify. Remember, the story of your life is being written right now, and you are the hero.